much. And first, thanks to De La Salle and Dr. Hanairo, who is here, the Chancellor, for helping co-sponsor this event. All our friends from, and some old friends too, from last year as well, from government and from NGOs and the LGBT community. Thanks very much first for coming out and being part of what we hope is the solution to all of these problems related to HIV AIDS. World AIDS Day is December 1st every year. The U.S. Embassy and U.S. embassies around the world participate in these kinds of programs to educate, to urge an end to discrimination and the stigma that people with HIV AIDS carry in addition to a disease. The U.S. government has been more active on this issue, I think, than any other government, it's fair to say, but also over time has put forward about $65 billion in relief for people with HIV AIDS, for education, for treatment. It's a remarkable commitment, one that makes us very proud at the embassy and in the U.S. government that we're able to do so. Today's program, which focused on workplace inclusion, is a very important one, but it's only a segment, as we just heard. It's not an answer in and of itself, and it also raises, as was brought up, many issues related to how companies fund these things, insurance, and what are societal costs that then fall to the government versus what you can expect from a private employer who is asked to assume costs, perhaps unfairly or unreasonably, when it should be a cost that everybody bears, even though they have to be responsible for not discriminating, which I think is something that most businesses accept. Education, non-discrimination, no stigma, all of those things make sense to the people in this room. I don't know that in society whether it's still fully there. But you are all part of the solution and you're looking for ways to help. But as we also know, and the 800-pound gorilla in the room, especially here, is that in the Philippines, infection rates are going up exponentially, as we just learned, and as we've seen in the press over the last few days as World AIDS Day was nearing. And that's really the challenge across the board. In the workplace, there are solutions, and there are very serious people who are grappling with how to deal with these issues. And Thomson Reuters is one, but so are a whole host of other companies. But prevention and education are going to be key to all of this. On the back end is something that is hugely expensive and devastating to a whole group of human beings. We've made tremendous progress around the world, but if in the Philippines you have rates that are going up at 2,000%, it's not working. Something more has to be done. And there are solutions through business and in the workplace. Government needs to continue with public education, hitting the right segments of society at the right age groups so that it is taken on board. But if you have only half of the 80% target audience that really understands what this is all about, you're going to continue to have increased rates of infection. And so it's incumbent on all of us, and this is why we are so involved in this around the world and here in the Philippines through our embassy. It's to educate, to make sure that these sessions go on, not just every year, but through your groups, your NGO organizations, every day. It's absolutely case that people with HIV/AIDS need to have treatment. They need to have access to good medical care. Those of us who are old enough to remember the early days of this disease know that what went on was a hysteria that was really incomprehensible now, which is a good thing, because people now understand that how the disease is transmitted, and that there are treatments available. So we need all of us to do a better job at this education and prevention part, so that all of these services and all of the things that are very expensive in human and in financial resources are avoided. And I think that's our greatest challenge. And through workplace inclusion, that's one way to do it. Through education of children in schools and elsewhere, and I know some of those things are difficult in a country that has certain standards or certain rules about education and sex education, but it can be done, and those are the things I think are important to focus on. So I just wanted to come by and again thank everybody for your interest in this. Obviously, you're advocates. You're not just interested. You're people who are trying to get something done, and so are we. And we stand with you as you go about doing it. So thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for participating.